sweating in the heat. I'll do another quick video. One thing that I worry about with this channel is, I'm not one to talk in extremes very much, but I do know there's a whole bunch of video channels out there that you could be listening to, and it doesn't have to be mine. And I fear that the ones with an extremist point of view, and I don't say that in a derogatory way. I'm not like, oh, it's extremist, he's trying to blow things up. No, what I mean by extremist is someone who has a very strong feeling about this side or that side. And my very strong feeling is that both sides don't really know what they're talking about, or they're too cemented in their version of things that they don't want to learn from the other side, where there are things that you couldn't learn from the other side. So, like, my extreme neutralness, will it be effective? Will people care to listen to that? I think I fear that people will go to channels like this to get a reinforcement of their strong viewpoint on this thing or that thing. No one really goes looking for a strong reaffirmation of my middle of the ground views, because that's kind of what middle of the ground is. It's not like, can anyone fiercely be neutral? I don't know, that's kind of what the whole thesis of this channel is. So will I eventually have to start swinging wildly one way or the other and start like, go Trump, or God, I hate Trump, I don't see me doing that. I hope it doesn't become that, unless of course, once again, he does some kind of miracle peace thing, and then wildly peace breaks out in all of the Middle East and everything. Like, I would be behind it, I think, of Kermit the Frog if he were the president and able to pull that off. So actually, I could see Kermit the Frog being president, the Jim Henson one, because I kind of trusted him. So I don't know. Will a channel with extreme neutrality have any kind of grounding? Actually, that brings me over to a video that I watched this morning, and I'll be posting tomorrow, about I want to say he was a Norwegian. He was the head of the Norwegian Defense Force, so like their Secretary of Defense, was talking about the reason why he became a soldier. Like he was doing a TED Talk amongst all of these other artists and authors and all these people who had their own craft, and he said, my craft is the tool of my craft is a gun. And he brings out a gun, and he sees the audience kind of pull back a little bit. He's like, yeah, I know, you don't ever come across one of these things very often if you're a normal person, and that's kind of a good thing. But there are those of us who have picked up a gun and used it as our tool to help you live in a free world, to uphold constitutional republics, and to keep, he was telling a story about World War II and how his father, had fought against the Nazis, and there is a need for people to have guns, and it is to protect people who want to instead pick up a paintbrush or write a book, and we should be thankful for those. He wasn't saying exactly this. I will say exactly this. We ought to give thanks to those people who pick up their arms to defend us, whether it be by a police force or a military force, or even that militia, or in some countries they rely on the normal population to be armed against warlords and drug dealers and those kinds of things. And I think that for all those reasons, those people who have picked up a gun in the art form of warfare, we ought to be thankful to those people, because it means that the rest of us don't have to do it. Wow, is that an extreme? Maybe that's an extreme position. Maybe the idea that and that anybody anywhere has to have a gun, which I'm sorry, I feel like there are some people who do, because there are bad people who are much larger than me, and I think that having a gun to protect having a weapon to protect myself against a group of people who might want to do me harm is the only equalizer. So I get the reasoning for it, and certainly when you look at the history of governments and their version of rule over people, having the weapons to defend themselves from the government is, I think, one of the things that allows that to not happen everywhere. But all right, so I guess to some people's mind, that is an extreme point of view. So maybe on my channel has some extremism there, but I do kind of still see myself as neutral. Wonder how I marry those two up. I don't know. Question for another day. Cheers.